Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to focus on the apartheid as a process, and so we're going to really look more, a little more closely.
Just a question on the
Sure.
conditions there. They allowed you to take pictures or just
The,
discreet?
no, we have to. I and others we have to be very discreet about it. Yes, yeah, yeah, and I mean there are times when they suspect that I've taken a photo. I mean because actually this one here, the guard thought that I had taken a photo, so I had to I argued with him, and then somebody else defended me, and so I got away. But it's dangerous. Yes.
This was your big camera. You had something less.
No, it is a big. It's a large camera. It's a full
Okay,
full
you
camera.
have the camera.
It's okay to have the camera. Yeah, yeah.
Just
Right, right. Not to photograph the checkpoint.
flash.
No flash. No. Right. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What about cell service? Can you take a picture on your cell phone or send
People do.
they had cell
People
service.
people do. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the fastest way to get it out of the country.
Yeah. Okay. So, as I said, the Group Areas Act was first passed in 1950. In 1957, they realized that version that Group Areas Act was not sufficient because there were a lot of administrative problems. There was a whole legal process. I mean, despite what you can say about how draconian South African apartheid was, there was still a legal system that enabled people to fudge, right? And so what happened after the Group Areas Act was passed was that many people applied for reclassification. And actually along with the Group Areas Act of 1950, there was another act that was passed that required everybody to be classified by some kind of racial category. And so what people did is they applied for reclassification, and they could apply for reclassification based on any of a number of criteria. It could be the color of your skin, that the color of my skin is a little bit lighter than black, and so I should be classified as colored. Or it could be my ancestry, that you see one of my grandfathers was Japanese, and therefore I should be classified as Japanese instead of Malaysian, because you see Japanese in apartheid South Africa were considered white, whereas Malaysians were considered Asian. Okay, so it's very complicated, and then I could apply for reclassification based on my accent. If my accent were Indian, then I could apply on that basis to be classified as Indian instead of something else. So there was a lot of this kind of thing, and so the law was that the 1950 law was rescinded, was repealed. The 1957 law was there to give the administration more power to deal with these situations. Anyway, once that process had been underway, then the demolition started in the 1960s. And by 1966, they realized that the 1957 law wasn't good enough, so they repealed that and passed the Group Areas Act of 1966. And so it went. But the ultimate result was that mixed neighborhoods that were strategically located at the center of cities, such as Cape Town, this is District 6, just adjacent to downtown. Actually, it includes part of downtown today, and so this area was totally demolished. So every building in this part of District 6 was leveled, and the residents who were from all different races were sent to the townships.
They were sent to sand dunes.
Sand dunes,
Nothing.
right? Sand dunes. So what I want to do,
Water, no electricity,
Right.
no nothing.
right?
You
I'll,
said District 6, is that the
okay.
hill?
No, well,
It wasn't the town off in
well-
the distance, it was the hills.
well, it's these hills. I mean, they're still desirable because it's very
Right,
close
right.
to the city
But
center.
I'm saying that's Cape Town.
Yeah, but so that's downtown Cape Town, and you know there's a lot more of the city on the other side. So there's this big vacant area in near the center of the city. This is Port Elizabeth. Oops, I think I lost it. Okay. So Port Elizabeth, same thing. The south end was a district that is adjacent to the city center. It was a mixed neighborhood. Under the Group Areas Act, it was to be cleared. And so this is why you have all this vacant land that's still there in Port Elizabeth. And if to understand where people were being transferred to, so let's go back to an old map. So Cape Flats is a large expanse of flat land, and as the map shows, this is a map of 1877. It describes Cape Flats as sand dunes. Okay, and this is exactly where the townships were placed. So people were literally dumped in the sand dunes. Now Cape Town has a population of about 4 million. Okay, those two townships have a population of 2 million. So half the population of Cape Town is crammed into those two townships. And the other thing to observe is the highways. Okay, so in South Africa they didn't have walls, but they used the highways as dividers. And so, well, actually it's the highways and then also open zones. I mean, so to keep a separation between the colored township of Mitchell's Plain and the black township of Khayelitsha. So anyway, this is Falls-Bay on the right. And then this is the what the Cape Flats look like. But there's a beautiful beach. So what happened was that the beach area is an area that's reserved for whites, and so you can still drive along the beach and find a lot of white houses facing the beach.
Did you just say it's still that way?
It is that way. It's still that way because you see what's happening is that these conditions 20 years after apartheid still exist. Okay, they're not enforced. There's nothing that says that a black must live in Khayelitsha. There's nothing that says a colored must live in Mitchell's Plain. But if you have established your house there, it's difficult for you to move elsewhere, right? You know, all your friends are there, your family is there. And so what existed when apartheid fell is still largely in place today because the economic system reproduces economic inequality, and so what we have is people living where they are because of economics. The same thing we have in Silicon Valley. Okay, up till 1991, people could not live outside of these areas. I mean, a black had to live in a black township, or else go back to a homeland. They had that choice.
And they couldn't go to the beach at that point.
Right. Yeah, because those beaches were for whites only. Okay. So this is another view, a little closer of Khayelitsha, where you can see. Of course, there are different kinds of houses. Not all of the houses look like this. So what happens is that if you look at the center of Khayelitsha, you'll find that those are the people who moved there, you know, in the 1960s, the 1970s, and so over the decades, you know, they have made improvements. They first built a shack, and over time, they made improvements and made it into a regular house, exactly the same as Palestinian refugee camps. When the refugee camps started, the United Nations put up tents, and then people replaced the tents with shacks, and you know, over the decades they improved them and built concrete houses. So this is exactly what's happening here. So the center of the townships is built up houses. The periphery are these shacks because these are the newcomers. So the newcomers who are coming from the rural areas looking for work, they have no place to build except at the periphery. And the periphery is, for example, here, the north end of Khayelitsha is the freeway, National Highway 2. And that's the boundary. Now here you can see the differentiation. Here's the center of Khayelitsha, and then if you go towards the sea, towards Falsbai, you can see the shacks. But this is all part of Khayelitsha. And then inside Khayelitsha, just to give you a feel for the township being there. So these are permit buildings, and those, of course, are not.
I see. So
Yeah.
shacks are usually
Right.
And those are built with government help.
Hmm. Yeah. So then you will see other tracts where you've got a lot of houses. They're all identical. Those are government houses. Yeah. Some of the small stores in Khayelitsha. Yes. Well, yeah, because I'm there in July, which is their winter.
So it's quite cold.
It's not very cold. I mean,
So Africa looks like hot.
well, but they have a winter, and South Africa,
Depends on the latitude.
But they're
So-
very far from the
yeah,
equator.
they're far from the equator. Yeah, so they're in the temperate zone, and actually it's not that bad. It's quite mild on the coast when you're on the ocean, but if you go inland, like to Johannesburg, then it gets colder in the winter. So anyway, so when the blacks were moved into the townships, then now they had the foresight to create this mass transit system, the metro rail. But the reason is simply that the blacks and others who are service workers, have to get up early in the morning to get to the master's house in time to serve the master tea in bed, right? And so what they have to do is use the metro rail system. And the interesting thing about the metro rail system is that the people whom I saw riding on the metro rail were 100% black. Well, a few colorids, but yeah, I didn't even see Asians on the metro rail, and absolutely no whites. And okay, so what we saw is a systematic pattern of demolitions. So this is exactly what we see in Palestine, where Palestinian homes are being systematically demolished. And the reason is that you see now this is a wide view of Ras Al Amud. So that all that land that used to be occupied by Palestinian homes has now been cleared within on this side of the wall, which is inside the Jerusalem municipality. What remains is the Palestinian village of Jabal al-Mukhabar, but overlooking at it are some Jewish constructions here. So what we're seeing here is a long process of ethnic cleansing, and then its replacement with Jewish housing.
I suppose it's a silly question to ask if they got removed, paid for their land. Oh,
No.
No, they just
No.
ousted them?
Yeah, they oust them because on the grounds that the titles that they had to the land and they build the building, but the land, they don't have the proper title of the land because the title is invalid. And there are many all kinds of reasons for that. So one of them is that the Israeli authorities only recognize title documents that were issued by Jordan. Okay, so if you had Ottoman title papers, okay, which are much older, those are not valid or not recognized. If you had British title documents, those are not recognized. All right? If you had PA, Palestinian Authority title documents, those are not recognized, and so on. And for one reason or another, they will say they're not valid, and so it's just confiscation. Not only is it confiscation, but if you don't demolish your own house, the Israeli authorities will demolish the house for you and bill you for it. Okay?
That's not
Yeah.
confiscation, it's theft.
Yeah. Okay.
That should be said.
Okay, so now what I want to do is move on to the next thing, and that is that between 1947 and 1949, when the Zionist militias went around terrorizing Palestinians to leave their villages. This is the period of what is known, what Palestinians call a Nakba. A Nakba is the catastrophe. In the catastrophe, more than 500 Palestinian villages were cleansed, and 750,000 Palestinians were forced to flee their homes forever. In that period, 1947 to 1949, where did they go? Well, they went to the West Bank, they went to Gaza, they went to Jordan, they went to Syria, they went to Lebanon, and then they went to the rest of the world. The ones who went to Gaza, what were they going to? Okay, now Gaza, of all the Palestinian cities, of all the Palestinian cities, Gaza City is the largest. Gaza City is the largest Palestinian city. It's got more than 1 million people. And where is Gaza City? Gaza City is down here. This is the south coast of Palestine in 1930. In 1930, the map makers, color-coded this map. And so all of these white areas were sand dunes. So it was known in 1930 that Gaza, and the Gaza Strip is roughly this. I'll draw it. So that's the boundary of today's Gaza Strip. So most of it is sand dunes, and so that's where these 1.5 million people are now living. If you look at a map of the Gaza Strip in the 1960s, okay, you see that a lot of these are not color coded as sand dunes. They're color coded as built up areas, but the reality is that people simply had no place to build except on sand dunes, right? Not only did they not have anything to do with, they had no choice but to build on sand dunes, but even agriculture. Okay, so this is Beit Hanun. Beit Hanun is a Palestinian village at the very north end of Gaza, and it is actually not on the ocean. It's not on the Mediterranean Sea. It's inland. It's actually close to the Israeli border, both the northern border and the eastern border. And you see, this is agricultural land. You've got probably vineyards up there, but underneath this agricultural land is sand. Okay, so the cultivation of this area is a long process of developing the soil, adding topsoil, and making it cultivable. But most of it is the underlying stuff is sand dunes. So that is where these people were kind of dumped, okay, into the sand dunes. So just like South Africa. Next, I want to talk about roads, and the black dots that you see on the left are Israeli settlements in the year 1999. The red dots are the Israeli settlements that were built after 1999. Okay, the roads that you see here are the bypass roads. So these are the Jewish-only roads. Palestinians are forbidden to use them, or at least, well, technically, it is that vehicles with West Bank license plates are forbidden to use those roads. So, in other words, an Israeli can carry a Palestinian in his or her car, but a Palestinian car, a West Bank car, cannot ride on those roads. So that's the technical point. But the point is that for all practical purposes, it means that Palestinians in large numbers cannot use these roads. Not only that, but the roads serve as dividing lines. They just like in South Africa, the road system is used to divide up the West Bank, and that you can see in the map on the right. And you see the red areas. The red areas are the Palestinian cities. The main, not all of them, but those are the main Zone A areas, and they are broken up by the Jewish-only road system. Okay, this is, I just want to do this briefly. So this is the Jerusalem region. This here is the original green line, and you can see all of the brown areas are settlements, and now all the settlements that are within the red line, which is the wall, are gradually being included into the expanding Jerusalem municipality. And once they are included in the Jerusalem municipality, Israel no longer calls them settlements; they call them neighborhoods. And so, but anyway, this is something that is an ongoing process of ethnic cleansing and expansion of the Jewish state. The other thing that's happening is this is a Palestinian village in the Negev, and it's a Bedouin village. And what you see in the background is the city of Beersheba, which is the fourth largest city in Israel. And Israel does not recognize Bedouin villages, except for a few. And so what it's trying to do is it's trying to cleanse all the Bedouin villages and concentrate the Bedouins into 4 towns, which are exclusively for Bedouin settlement. And so it's just like the townships, right? It's trying to remove populations, concentrate them, so that they're out of the way. And so this is a Palestinian map which shows the unrecognized Bedouin villages, all of these green and blue dots, and then this city here is Beersheba. Now, if you look at an Israeli map, this is Beersheba, those villages, those Arab villages, those Bedouin villages do not exist. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of this fine print, but this is just to give you a feel for the apartheid era laws. There are many of them that range from prohibiting marriages between whites and others, and so on. And we can go into detail afterwards, but it gives you some idea of that this was not a system of just the Group Areas Act, but a whole system of laws to prevent whites to prevent blacks and colorids from having the same opportunities and privileges that the whites had, and to separate them. Now, what about in Israel? People say that, or Israelis and defenders of Israel will say that, well, apartheid, the apartheid comparison between South Africa and Israel is not valid, because inside Israel, Palestinians and Israelis can sit together in the same restaurant. Well, it's true. It's true in Israel, in Israel proper. That's obviously not so in the occupied territories. But these are falashas from Ethiopia. These are Ethiopian Jews, and they came to settle in Israel because the Jewish Agency and the World Zionist Organization encouraged them to do so. They wanted to increase the Jewish population of Israel, so they paid for them to come. And when they arrived, they found that they were discriminated right and left. And for example, the Ethiopian falashas, for the men, one of the only jobs that they could get when they came were low-level security jobs, manning low security checkpoints like metal detectors and that sort of thing. And so this I think was in 2012. They launched this particular protest in Jerusalem, where they said, we're tired of being discriminated against, and that what they've come to find in Israel is in fact an apartheid. They actually used this word. They quoted Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Nelson Mandela. And so here it is. Even Jews, black Jews, are finding that there is an apartheid. They're facing an apartheid inside Israel proper. Okay, so now I just wanted to. I show this because I just wanted to not let the South African government off the hook. This is a demolition of a home. Now it's a little different. There's a little different circumstance, but this is a woman who was a victim of fraud, and this is Lenasia is a suburb of Johannesburg, and she bought a piece of land from someone who had forged the documents, and so the government, then she built the house, and then the government said that she doesn't really own this piece of land, and so instead of working something out, the government said, we're going to demolish your house, period. So this is the ANC government, the African National Congress, is doing this to its own people, and so now you see there's a big movement in South Africa to form a workers' party, to build another alternative to the African National Congress. And finally, I just wanted to end with this: that there's still an economic apartheid in South Africa, and even if there isn't a legal one, but and of course there's an economic apartheid in Israel Palestine as well. Okay, thank you.